Hi, this is Dr. Don. I want to spend a few minutes with you and walk you through a debriefing on the quick start that you just completed. Now, I'm going to run this debriefing on RStudio desktop, but it looks very similar to the RStudio cloud that you'll be working in. We always start with loading the libraries, the packages that we need. Now, you will have to install them once, and they should be already installed on your setup. But every time you restart a session, like we're doing now, you need to rerun the libraries to load them. So I'm going to do that now. In the code that you see in your markdown, this gray area is the R code, and it's got some messages there, but you can just ignore those. There's a little play button right here, and I'm just going to click on that, and it will play the code, and it's loading those libraries. And I'm going to pause here and let it load. Now it's finished. And it's given me some messages here that you can see talking about some possible conflicts and those sorts of things. But you can just ignore those, and we can scroll on down here to the part that we're really interested in. One of the things you may notice at the very end, it gives us a statement that the UN votes package, which we loaded, has a citation that dates back to 2013. But we can just skip over that. And the first thing we're going to do is to get some data using that UN Votes library. Now it provides 3 data sets or tables, data tables. Let's inspect those. The first table's name is UN_votes. And in order for us to take a look at it, we're just going to put that name in an R chunk again here, and we'll run that. R returns what is known as a tibble. You can see it written right there, T-I-B-B-L-E, and it tells us how many rows and how many columns we have in that particular data table. Now the columns we call variables, and a variable is just something that can change values. So here we've got the RCID variable. RCID stands for roll call ID number. The country variable, which is the name of the country. We've got a country code, which is just its initials. And then we've got how that country voted in that roll call vote. And here the United States voted yes. Now we don't know what that roll call was about, so we need to bring in some more information. The second table is named UN_roll_calls. And so we've got that again in an R code chunk. So I'm going to run it so we can look at its tibble. And you can see here, we've got now 6,000 rows, 6,000 observations. This looks like one for each of the RCID sessions, the roll call vote sessions. And it gives us the number of the session and then whether or not it's an important vote. You can see there's 9 variables, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, a little triangle there. We can expand to see 8, which is a short name, and then expand again to get the longer description. So those are our 9 columns, our 9 variables in this second table. Now we're going to look at the third table, and it is UN_roll call issues. And again, we will get the tibble. You can see now we've got, again, 5,745 observations with 3 columns, the RCID number, a short name for the issue, and then the issue written out. I guess ME stands for Middle East, but it's the Palestinian conflict. So we want to create one table that merges together the data in these 3 tables. But first, I'm a little curious as to what these issues are and how many different issues there are. So we can get a little more information using some R code here. We're going to use the count function, and we give it the name of the file, the data table, roll call issues. and then we want to sort it by issue or count the number of issues, and we want to sort from largest to smallest counts. So I'll click Run, and you can see we've got only 6 issues listed here. This UN votes data set we're using is truncated. It only focuses on these 6 issues. There are obviously a lot more issues covered by the UN. But you can see we had almost 1,100 on arms control, again, almost 1,100 on Palestinian conflict, human rights, colonialism, nuclear weapons, and economic development. Those are the issues that we want to study in this little analysis. The next thing we want to do is wrangle the data. And again, we want to get those 3 tables put together into one data set. And we're going to use the code chunk in your quick start here. And let me walk you through that. What we've got here, first of all, we're going to create a new data table called UN votes, or that's an object. And once we create it, it will show up over here in the environment. And that's the operator here, the assignment operator, which is just a less than symbol and a dash. And we're going to take our data table, the first one, UN votes, and then we're going to pipe it. This is called the piping operator, the percentage greater than percentage symbol. You can think of that as kind of like saying, take this and then do this inner join and then do another inner join. We're going to break this into 2 steps so you can see it a little more clearly. What I've done here is set this up, and we're going to create an intermediate object that I'm calling joined 1. And again, we're taking the UN votes table and then piping it into this inner join function. And the UN votes becomes the first argument in this function. There's another one there which we don't have to put in because we're using the piper operator. So we're taking the UN votes table and we're going to merge it with the UN roll calls table by matching up the RCID. So I'm going to run that. You can see we created our object over there, 870,000 approximately observations of 12 variables. Now we're going to look at that join table so we can see it. You can see in our table we've now got those 870,000 rows, but we've got 12 variables. We started out with 4 in one table and 9 in the other, and because we're matching, that just gives us 9 plus 4 would be 13 minus 1 would be 12. And we've got the information from the first table, UN votes, and appended on the very end, we've got the short title and the long title, and the one I forgot there, this other information appended together now in that new data object. Now we're going to join together the table we just created, joined 1, create a new data object, join 2, by joining together that third table to the merging of the first 2 tables. Join UN roll call issues, again by the RCID. We run that code, and we created our second data object there. About the same number of observations. We lost some because it matches, and if it doesn't have a match, it excludes. So we've lost a few, but we still have almost 860,000, and now we've got 14 variables. So let's look at that merge table. You can see there's our table, 857,000 observations now, and we've got 14 variables. The first 12 we had before, and appended on the very end, we've got the short name of the issue and the longer name of the issue. So that's the information we wanted. I'm going to rename this into something that is more familiar and matches your quick start. You're just going to run this assignment of taking that second table we created, join 2, and renaming it as UN votes. And now over here you can see we've got the UN votes objects that we'll use in the rest of the quick start. So I hope this explains how we created our data table which is the merging of the three separate tables within the UN vote. Hope this helps.